Seems like every local in the valley here has a mountain bike. This sport is really exploding.
I break the law. I ride a legal trip.
And it's getting away from the cops, the cars, the concrete.
Is the Chinese down here.
Skiers and snowboarders together on a run, you're looking for trouble.
You know, they get on skis and they just think they can overcome the world.
The more you around, the more you're going to find out.
I like to think that death is out of the question.
The life starts at 40 miles an hour.
You ride the chairlift for 2 or 3 weekends and you have to go like climb hills all week just to be even with God, you know.
Welcome to Mind the Track with Albot and Trail Whisperer. Ramblings from the skin track in winter, single track in summer, celebrating the core lords, and fostering the culture of mountain life in the Sierra Nevada and Great Basin. Today is May 17th, 2023, and you're listening to episode number 10. And by the way, thanks for listening. Help spread the word. Leave Mind the Track a rating and review, and subscribe on Apple, Spotify. Got feedback or a core lord we should chat with? Drop us a line at mindthetrackpodcast@gmail.com, Mind the Track on Instagram, and mindthetrack.com, our website. You can drop us a line there too. Well, we're recording in the mobile recording studio, a 1990 Toyota Sunrader that we're sitting out in Red Rock. Palbot sitting next to me here, the professor of POW, of course. But today there's no POW to be found. It's just a lot of green and flowers, and yeah, it's a beautiful day.
It's a beautiful day here in the desert.
Yeah, where are we today?
We are at Cam Zink's property here just north of Reno. We're in North Reno.
Yeah.
I think the Red Rock Canyon.
Red Rock Road.
Red Rock Road.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. We're like overlooking the Bird Eye Range. We've got a view of Mount Rose. We've got a view of Bird Eye Peak. There's a view of Babbitt Peak.
Yeah.
And what else? What else can we see?
Giant, massive, huge jumps.
Yeah.
Massive jumps I'll never have any interest or skill level of even being able to approach. The Cam Zink Invitational, we were fortunate enough to be invited to this. This is an invite-only, no spectator event with some of the best motorsports and mountain bike athletes probably in the country, if not the planet.
Yep.
We are out here just kind of documenting it. We sat down with a few folks today and recorded a little bit to talk about the event and to talk about the main supporter of this event and the supporter of Mind the Track, SENDY. We were fortunate enough to get a few minutes with Ian DeQueiroz, who is the CEO of SENDY.
OG founders of SENDY.
Yep, him and Travis Rice and Cameron Zink are the co-founders of the SENDY app. And so Ian is a sender too, man. That guy's into everything.
Yeah, he's like us. He does a little bit of everything.
Super core lord. And so yeah, we had some time to sit down with Ian before he had to take a flight back out of here back to Whistler, where he spends half the year. It sounds like he lives in a little bit in North Shore of Oahu too. Sounds like a rough life, yeah. But he is a busy man. So yeah,
he's definitely a go-getter.
Totally, yeah. That's
what I picked up on.
He is a mover, and so it's pretty cool to get some time with him, and we're gonna play a little bit of our interview with Ian, and then after we recorded with Ian. Hank Wilkins, who's my neighbor in Verdi, rolled up on his dirt bike and just kind of checked in with us and was like, "Hey, so what are you guys doing?" And we're telling him what we were doing, and he's like,
"Who doesn't? Hold on a minute. Who doesn't live in your neighborhood?" Like it's just it's a block of core lords.
Just
it's
a couple of core lords.
Court.
Yeah, River Oak core lords.
So he's roommates with
Marco Osborne.
Okay.
Yeah, so Marco
Very
Osborne's girlfriend Lila is Hank's sister.
Okay.
Yeah, and so anyway, Hank was like, "So are you going to interview some riders?" And I was like, "Yeah,
we chatted him for a minute, and then
maybe we should." And then I'm like, "But who?" And he goes, "I don't know. Everyone's really good." And I'm like, "I know." And then I was like, "Well, how about we should just talk to you? Yeah, you built all these jumps."
Well, I think we had a good conversation with him for a few minutes, and we're like, you know what? Let's just talk to you.
Yeah, I want to talk to the guy that built all this stuff. And he's like, well, my buddy Damon also helped me. And I was like, well, is he available? And he's like, yeah. I said, well, come on over to the RV and let's jive for a minute about the property and the event. And, how do you, because as a trail builder myself, like I build trail. I don't build giant jumps like these things. Like we're seeing guys doing 7,500 foot, gaps and stuff. Like it's ridiculous.
So I was blown away with the fact that they build all this by experience and by feel, and that there isn't like any, like, so to say, proper engineering maybe. I mean, I think that they eventually have some schematics of what, the outrun should be angled at and whatnot, but they really just go about it by feel.
Yeah, totally.
Which is just so impressive.
Yeah, it's crazy impressive. And, I think that there's a lot to be learned from it, because it's fascinating to me, like we talk about in the conversation that you'll hear with Ian, and then with Hank Wilkins and Damon Iwanaga, that, I have no interest in hitting any of this stuff, maybe in a younger life, but I'm starting to get to that age where I think this ability to hit some of these is beyond my age. But man, it looks so awesome. Just the airborne, just to see these men and women in flight, just so high in the sky.
So Kurt, we're you and I are still riding up hills, but we're a little over the hill.
Yeah, no,
I'm with you there.
I'm embracing older age, man. The older I get, the more I'm okay with not being the first one down the mountain and not being the first one to say I'm going to send it. Like, I'm just like, not getting hurt is my priority, and having fun.
And what my priority is?
What's that?
Sending every day.
Yeah, just getting out there every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, sending every day within your limitations, right? Like,
maybe pushing them a little bit, but also I think that's a good thing to get out of your comfort zone every so often, but still sending every day.
Yeah, every day we're putting our mind in the track, but watching these folks out here at the Cam Zink Invitational, their mind's not in the track. They're towering.
They're above it.
They're in the sky above the track, just like floating in air. And it's just like, wow, to watch, is pretty inspiring.
It's been super cool to see and document. I took some neat photos that I'll share on the old Mind the Track Insta, and some little bit of video that'll go out. But it's impressive what these guys are doing. Guys and gals are
the women,
women are sending the same hits.
They are
they're doing everything that the guys are.
Chelsea, so I don't know. So on Instagram, her handle is Chelsea Sends It. And she is my favorite, like, female mountain bike athlete to watch, because she goes huge, and she's here. Yeah. And it's so fun to watch, all these like world-class athletes go big off some of these huge jumps that Hank and Damon, moved and crafted with machinery and by hand and a bunch of volunteer help. Of course,
it sounds like they've had a ton of help.
They've had a lot of help. So yeah, we're gonna just play some of these interviews that we had. First, we're gonna play the interview with Ian, and then we'll dive into the interview with Hank and Damon.
Sounds good.
And pardon the background noise. There are dirt bikes here and side-by-sides and diesel trucks, so you might hear occasional rumblings in the background, but that kind of fills out the character and the environment of this event.
Yeah.
So without further ado, here we go. Okay, we're here with Ian DeQueiroz, co-founder of SENDY. Ian, welcome, man. Welcome to the mobile recording studio here.
Yeah, this is epic. Incredible view out the back. Yeah, surrounded by some incredible people. Happy to be here.
Yeah, awesome. You got this thing running, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, we're good to go.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah, we're live with episode 10. You made it. You made it for the Diaz episode.
Yeah, number 10. It's appropriate.
We're no longer single digits.
I know. Yeah, it's a milestone. That's what happens when you record every week.
Yeah,
you get it done quicker.
We missed a couple weeks here and there, but
yeah, totally. But that's all right, because we do stuff, and sometimes we're too busy to record, and we're out shredding or getting after it. So
yeah, sometimes we're recording while shredding.
That's right. Like today.
So we're sitting here with Ian, Kurt. Why don't you let us tune us into where we are and what we're doing?
Yeah, we are at Cam Cameron Zink's property here in Red Rock, off Red Rock Road, north of Reno. We're looking out over the Sierra Nevada. I can see Mount Rose, I can see Peavine, I can see Verdi Peak, I can see Babbitt Peak. It's pretty epic here, and it's early May, and the colors are popping. You know, we had a late spring, so it's only now where things are starting to get green. So all the wildflowers are going off, and it's a beautiful day here. And we're at the Cam Zink Invitational event, and it is something that I've never been to before. This is both Palbot and my first time here. And Ian, your company SENDY is a big supporter of this event. Why don't you kind of tell us your involvement with the event and what it's all about?
Yeah. So Cam Zink and Travis Rice, both co-founders of SENDY. So, you know, incredible athletes and people who are also very involved in their communities and their sports. And for Cam in particular, you know, this event is, I don't know, it's really different than anything else out there. It's invite only, no spectators, and there's really no formal, I guess, like competition in a sense. So every day all the riders vote for who was riding the best, or, you know, who inspired them the most, and pretty much vote, and that's the winner of the day. So it's really just kind of like a talent extravaganza. You know, I'd say most of the best riders in the world, many from motocross and just moto, as well as mountain biking, are here. And you know, this property it's unlike anything else. It's kind of his private little gem up here. I'd say most of the features are probably a little bigger than, you know, probably too big to open up to the public and just let people ride. It's pretty much a specialty event. And yeah, I think, you know, one of the things with Cam is it's also a chance for some of the younger up and coming riders to get into the mix, get some professional content shot, kind of push their limits, learn from the folks that came before them. And yeah, I respect him a lot for making it happen. I really feel like it's the weight of his personality that brings everyone together, and he's so widely respected in this sport. And, you know, this event is, you know, it's an amazing place to be. You guys are saying it's your first time here. And I was just going to say, you know, there's very few people that actually get the chance to come see this go down. It's really a small thing, and it's designed that way. And yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, we were walking back to the RV from the main barn there, and I was telling Tom, I was like, you know what I like about this is that there's no randos walking around.
No.
Except for us. We're the randos today.
Yeah, we are the randos. There's like 6 of them.
They're like, everyone's looking around like, who are those rando guys? They're like, oh, that's us. We're the token randos.
Yeah. No, it's incredible, the group of people that are here. And, you know, it's a week long, so everyone really gets to know each other too. You get to actually drop in, have some beers, hang out at night. It's fun.
Yeah, that's really cool. How many years has this been going on now? Do you know?
That I don't know. I'd have to ask Cam. Yeah, this is my first time here. I know they've at least been doing it for 3 years. It's possibly much longer than that.
Yeah, and I noticed too today. It seems like SENDY is kind of the main brand that I've seen here today. Is that the case?
Yeah, I think, you know, Monster has a history of backing this event. They've got a bunch of great riders here, but you know, Cam Zink just being as involved in SENDY as he is, like, this was an amazing opportunity. And then for us, you know, we're really doing a hard transition into summer right now. So yeah, if you download the SENDY app, visit SENDY.io, you'll see we've had a ton of snow sports related stuff all winter, just people posting everything, snowboarding, backcountry skiing, whatever it is. And so yeah, this is, you know, us transitioning and really kicking off the summer into mountain biking, moto, summer sports. And yeah, it made a lot of sense. So we came in and backed it as much as we could.
Yeah, for those listeners who might not be familiar, I'm sure a few people have heard our little SENDY ads that we do for each episode, but give listeners kind of a recap or a summarization of what SENDY is.
Yeah, SENDY is just kind of an idea, a dream that Travis and I and, you know, Cam had been talking about for a while. And, you know, we're happy it's live and in the world now, but it's a peer-to-peer marketplace platform. So it's an app also available on a website, SENDY.io. and it's buy, sell, or rent sports equipment. So you'll find like very highly categorized items, from all kinds of specialty sports that we do. And so, motocross, mountain biking, fly fishing, snowboarding, skiing, kite surfing, like all kinds of stuff. So really, like, all of us are into many different sports, and we've been, I don't know, we've just collected so much gear, and our garages are just ridiculous. And, not only like full blown like boards and bikes and things, but also parts, right? Like, so, shocks or drivetrains or whatever, that all of that kind of stuff, like we felt like was not really being efficiently distributed around the world. And at the same time, there's such a high like cost barrier to entry to get into some of these sports. And so it just seemed like there's already a lot of stuff in the world, and that if we could put something out there that would help like our community and communities like just find each other and connect, that we could maybe make a difference and make it easier for people to get outside. And then also, all of this equipment that we spend so much money on, as of right now, it's almost like a joke, right? Like you're buying toys, and it's kind of ridiculous how much money we spend on bikes or boards or whatever it is. And the idea was to kind of like hold some of the value in that, so that you can actually invest in the things that you love, buy nice stuff that lasts, and then turn it around and it actually has like a resale value. You can find the market, who is that exact person for that exact size item for that sport. And we really didn't feel like that existed. And so SENDY, we kept it very specific to our community. It is very much built as like an adventure sport marketplace, and it's the problem we were trying to solve, really.
Yeah, I think it's such a great idea. I'm a big believer in buying used if you don't need to buy new, and keeping stuff out of the landfill. And there's always plenty of good life left in a lot of equipment.
Oh yeah. And
and I think we've talked about it before, but just the kind of the scam side of the, like Pink Bike or Craigslist.
Why I never sell anything. It's just not easy.
Yeah. I think, like for me growing up, like Craigslist was kind of the only go-to kind of, thing. And then I think, Facebook Marketplace jumped in there, but pretty much had a lot of the same problems. And I think, even during COVID, those were exacerbated, I guess.
Exacerbated.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Who uses Facebook anymore anyway?
I know.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. And
to read bad news.
Like all of those they force in-person meetups. If something's like not worth more than $100, it's like, I don't know, are you really going to list it on there? Not everyone will.
Right.
And so, it's peer-to-peer and it's nationwide. So it's UPS integrated. So someone in Colorado can buy, skis that you're selling in Tahoe. And, the idea being that it really just connects our whole community through a platform that's custom designed, to work for them. And I'd say, adding one more thing on that is like, there's no way we could have built it the way we did without so much user feedback. And in some ways that's like, that's just been the absolute key component, is that the community really got behind what we were doing, and we just started getting incredible, meaningful feedback like right away. And so anyone listening to this, like if you download the app, if you're on it, if you have suggestions or ideas or changes that you'd like to see, like write us. Like we literally read it and we do make changes, and we're trying to make it something that really works for everybody. So we just want to hear from our community.
Yeah, that's great.
Get your next bike for this summer on SENDY.
Totally. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that I've been looking at on there. You guys, you have come out of kind of nowhere. It seems like you guys launched in November. And I'm starting to see the brand everywhere. Talk to us a little bit about when this idea came to fruition, and like the process to build this thing, and how long it took, and the launch and everything like that.
We feel the same way, where it's been a bit of a whirlwind, and in some ways, like we look up and all of a sudden the brand does kind of seem like it is everywhere, and we run into people just in the course of our normal lives that are already using it, that have already heard about it, that are already talking about it. And like, honestly, that's one of the most like rewarding things that I could ever imagine. It's like just, this all started as an idea in our head. And I was up in Alaska for the first natural selection out in the Tordrillos. It's just unbelievable event. So Travis Rice's, kind of crowning achievement in certain ways of just bringing the entire backcountry snowboarding community together into one of the most challenging locations in the world and running a competition and on the top of a glacier in the middle of the backcountry. Like it's, kind of got to be Travis Rice to pull that off. It's not
right. It's impressive.
It's not an easy recipe to get right. But yeah, so we were out there, and a lot of what we've done in our work is interfacing with brands and sponsors, and how do these brands and sponsors get value for their products or their businesses out of backing these events. And on the athlete and event organizer side, it's tough because you're always trying to find a way to bring value to brands so that you can get the money to do the things that we love to do.
Yeah.
And with SENDY, in like beyond the actual like problem, which to us was a clear problem, which is like, whoa, there's a lot of gear out there. It's not well distributed. There's, we all remember being kids when you walk into the store and you're, drooling over like a snowboard that there's no way you're going to afford. Right. And like, we have been those people who are like, just like wanting to mountain bike, wanting to ski, wanting to snowboard, whatever it is. And there's just too many barriers to entry. And so we recognized all of those problems. But I think when the light bulb like really went off was like how we as SENDY like are relevant to every sport, every person in every sport. Like we're literally just as useful to someone who loves fly fishing as we are to someone who loves free ride mountain biking, right? So
right.
I think that like being able to like speak to 100% of the communities that like we literally consider our community, like anywhere we travel in the world, we find the people that love to do what we love to do. So it was really brainstorming on like, okay, like if we do this thing, like we'll be able to back the events and film projects and content and everything that we want to do, put incredible content, back the riders and athletes that we love, throw some amazing events, and do so with a product that's literally useful and relevant to every single person watching, no matter what sport it is. I think, as we started talking about it, it was, over the course of 2-3 months that, Travis and I were talking about it a lot, and it really just started to like crystallize. This was probably, I think it was probably April of 2021.
Wow. So post-COVID.
This is recent.
Right in the middle of
2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it was right in the middle of COVID. We were pulling off the Alaska event kind of in the middle of all that. And so at the time I still was working full-time, even more than full-time. So it's something that I started to look at, okay, how are we going to go about doing this? And then, once I started actually putting some energy in, it just kind of took off and started rolling by itself. And as far as like the process goes, I interviewed pretty much all over the world looking for the right software team to build it. And, Travis is very meticulous in everything he does, and, SENDY's no different. So it's like we had a very clear vision of what we were trying to accomplish. Yeah. And I ended up settling on a team that is based in Ukraine, actually based in Kiev. This is before the war, before the invasion. That wasn't on anyone's radar, right? And so we started working over there. Wireframing, getting all the basic designs up. And then when we really started hardcore dev, I think it took us about 10 months to build and launch the product, which I have to imagine is close to some kind of record because it was pretty quick. So we built that. Meanwhile, the invasion happened. That was in February.
Wow. That's so crazy.
Yeah, and that was, that kicked off a whole other bunch of stories that at some point we'll go into. But like,
have you been over there a few times?
Yeah, so I was over there in November. So it was actually we had planned to launch SENDY on November 11th, 2022, so last year. which is 6 months ago now, I think.
Yeah.
So we kind of had that in our mind as like a launch date. We had a bunch of stuff ready to go just to blast this out into the world. And then Russia started bombing some of the power stations. And all of a sudden, when we're Zooming with our team in Ukraine, they're in dark apartments wearing parkas in the cold in the middle of the winter. And, internet connections were going out. And I pretty much realized that I didn't have, many options. If we were going to get this thing out in the world and stay on schedule, then I needed to go over there and bring them a couple Starlinks and a generator and some stuff. So I booked last minute travel, flew out to Poland, took a bus across the border, and the universe is a funny thing, but we ended up launching SENDY at 2 a.m. Ukraine time, exactly as I was crossing the Polish border into Ukraine. So I shot a quick selfie video just thanking everyone, like literally right on the border.
Wow.
Stayed up till 6 a.m. Fielding emails, phone calls, incoming, problems, bugs, every single thing that happens when you launch a software, product like this to thousands of people. We literally had, I think, 2,000 users in the first 24 hours or something. It was pretty cool. And then I slept 4 hours, and then the next morning I met our head of software development. Is a guy named Vlad, who had also been up all night dealing with bugs and emails and hassles. So after working together for a year, we met for the first time, the morning that SENDY had launched in Lviv in Western Ukraine. It's pretty wild.
What was it like? I mean, had you ever been to Ukraine before?
No, absolutely not. No.
Had you been to Europe before?
Yeah, I've been to Western Europe.
Yeah, it must have been. I mean, were you? Well, the first question comes to mind is: when you cross over into Ukraine with an American passport?
Yeah. Does
the American government like reach out to you or give you a warning or say anything, or is it kind of like you're just on your own and good luck? And
no, it's very on your own. Like, to be honest, I landed. So I was out in Hawaii. So I ended up flying from Hawaii to California, Cali to Poland to Warsaw, and then I got on a bus in Warsaw. The bus I was on was going to Kherson, which is a city that had been literally liberated that day, and so I jump on the bus. I got off in Lviv in Western Ukraine, and then I drove with Vlad across Ukraine back to Kiev, which was like an 8-hour plus road trip across like the heartland of Ukraine. And I was, there was no backup. I'm not sure if anyone knew where I was.
And you were solo?
Solo.
Until you met.
Yeah, I was solo. Yeah, for quite a bit of it. I mean, like the way out of there was pretty wild, because I left the bus station in Kiev, and it was pretty much, it's pretty much like a refugee situation, right? Like pretty crowded, wild bus stop, soldiers saying goodbye to families, really like heart-wrenching, deep stuff to witness. And the thing that really saved me was like Google Translate, because they don't even have the same alphabet. So I would like look at a sign on a bus and it's gibberish to me. I have no idea where it's going or anything. So I was like taking photos of stuff, of signs, translating it, ended up getting on a Sprinter that went north, and it was like a 15-hour drive. I was in there with all women and children, because no men are allowed to leave Ukraine. Mm-hmm. I was with all women and children, refugees, and we basically did 13 hours along the Belarusian border. And that trip north of Kiev was the exact road that the Russians had come down when they were trying to invade. And for over 2 hours of driving, every single thing that I saw was either destroyed or full of bullet holes. So like we stopped in gas stations with thousands of bullet holes. Like if like a bus stop, like anything someone could hide behind, a mailbox, a bus stop, or anything was just full of bullet holes. And I think that was really like what drove home like the scale of the conflict. Like it looked like World War II. It looked like 100 years ago. Like,
yeah.
It's an, the thing I have to say though on that is the Ukrainian people were amazing. Like almost have I don't think I've ever felt so welcome as an American anywhere. Like people were literally like coming up to me and thanking me, like as if I personally sent them tanks. Like it was incredible. And their spirit and the resilience over there was like it was life-changing to witness, to be honest.
It's amazing that through everything they're going through, that the people are still just, developing SENDY and bringing it to the finish line, and not, it says a lot about that, about their culture and the people. Yeah. It's
honestly, when all that happened, it was pretty stressful, right? Like, like for everyone involved, it was like, wow, this thing's going to come apart at the seams here. And
right.
I had Vlad calling me from traffic, literally with incoming cruise missiles in the background. And he was like telling me that he was going to be a couple days late delivering something. And I was like, dude,
that's okay.
Don't worry about it, And
wow.
And the most insane thing is, even with all of that, they literally hit the launch date to the day.
Incredible.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah.
And they're still working with you guys now. And,
we'll work with them forever. Like, they're basically like brothers. Like, they're, they are part of the SENDY crew for life.
Well,
like,
if you can deliver a product on time in the midst of a war, I think you're probably good to go forever.
Yeah,
right? I mean, like, what else are they going to have to face? I mean, that's...
The SENDY credentials are fully established. Like, they're with us forever. So that's our team.
That's such a cool story. I mean, when Sam told me that story, I was just like, are you kidding me? And then I read there was an article in Forbes about it, right?
Yeah. And that was really cool because, originally when Forbes got in touch with us, they were mostly running with the athlete angle, right? Like, just, Travis famous, Cam's famous. They were kind of taking that approach.
Yeah.
And I think once they kind of like got a couple layers into what we were doing, and found out kind of like how we brought this into the world, like, they actually completely pivoted and they ended up interviewing our team in Ukraine, and they completely went down that road, and they took that story and I think did a really beautiful article. Like, it kind of, I really felt like they did a nice job. They
did do a nice job. And it's a powerful article. It's a powerful story.
Yeah. It's a real deal.
It's the real deal, man. And you guys seem to be the real deal. I mean, like, just hanging out with you for a short period of time today, getting to know you a little better. You're into everything. Let's talk a little bit about what you're into. I mean, I think it's a reflection of SENDY. You do all the sports.
I do, yeah. And, I think, like, what I was telling you earlier, that I'm, like, moderately good at most sports.
Yeah,
and, so I think, I never dove as deep into any one of these things as like some of my co-founders did, who obviously took it to the highest level possible. But I think ever since I discovered surfing when I was probably about 14, I was kind of like, okay, I don't really want to do like the team sports and stuff anymore. And I was, like I said, I can relate to people who are like trying to find some good gear and don't have any cash. Like, I remember trying to get a mountain bike for 2 years. Like, I probably didn't get one until I was 16. And then, I was hooked on that. And then, everything from like running rivers, rafting, backcountry snowboarding, snowmobiling, all kinds of stuff I'm into. And I think, the new thing I like to put a little more time into is some of the wind sports. So getting a little more into like kiting. I was down in the Marshall Islands with Keahi and Rio Stevens, are just world-class, kite surfers, and just watching them work magic on some of these waves. And I was like, wait a second, what am I doing paddling into these waves? Like, it's like a toddler crawling. Like, these guys are like, full power wind, coming into barrels at 40 miles an hour is just like literally the most incredible thing I've seen. So there's always something new to learn, and when you learn something new, it's always like humbling.
Super humbling.
Yeah. And I think that's
super humbling.
That's like what to me makes, our community and like these sports like really special, is that it's not necessarily a competition against anyone else. And I think that's what's really special about this event that we're at, the Cam Zink Invitational, is that it's you against the mountain, and you against yourself and your own mind and your own fear. And I think that humbles people and it grounds people. And, I would love to live in a world where more people, were passionate about these kinds of sports and spending more time in nature. And, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And pass it on. One thing I heard just as we were here today was that there was a younger man here who's only 15 years old, and I guess he was just sending it last night. And it's so cool that someone like Cam, the older generation, is passing on the knowledge and inviting someone like that, bringing him here, and showing him the ropes, showing him the jumps.
Yeah, that's probably
showing him the lines.
Probably Kalana. I heard him on the phone with his mom. He's like, "Hey, Mom, did you like that clip I sent you?" She's like, "Yeah, babe." He's like, "Yeah, no, I think it was like 75 foot. There was a couple hundred." It's like, this kid's like, yeah, he's 15 at the most, and it's amazing. And something we did in Alaska recently. So we're up for natural selection in March. Awesome event. Check it out. Naturalselectiontour.com. Definitely check it out. But we were up there and we ended up shooting a couple content pieces actually about like the underground backcountry shedders. So like the guys that are, they spend
the core lords,
like super core. Like they
core
spend
lords,
2 months a year living in the back of their truck in a parking lot in Thompson Pass, accessing, some of the hardest lines in the world with snowmobiles, completely unsupported, right? There's no backup plan. And just like the knowledge, part of what we wanted to capture with some of that content and some of that footage was like, it's a lot of knowledge and experience to be able to move safely through like glaciated terrain in these mountains and do what we do. And a lot of that is passed down, word of mouth and by being with people who have learned it. And often those people have learned it from someone else. And I think, with Travis, Cam, and I, like, we've all benefited from learning from the people before us. And I think passing that wisdom on is really important. And there's definitely a vision, for SENDY. It's hard to do everything at once, but I think down the road, we'd love to create a platform that kind of enables that a little bit more to where if you're coming into a new area and you want to ride or explore something, that like make it a little bit easier to find someone who can, get you out there and show you kind of what it's all about.
I've always thought that there's room in the backcountry ski world for a nonprofit organization that would help do that.
Yeah, I think one of the things that really stood out to me as soon as I started learning about SENDY and playing with the app is, you guys seem to be sitting on a social media platform. I mean, beyond an e-commerce kind of platform or this peer-to-peer type of network, like all these people who are on the platform, you verify them, they're actual people, they actually do these sports, they're friends, there's all these connections, right? People know each other in their circles, right? And so, with social media these days, man, it's just filled with so much junk and garbage and distractions. It would be really cool to have like a kind of a social media platform that's like targeted towards like the outdoor adventure athlete that loves doing the same kind of stuff that, their friends and peers do. And the way that SENDY works, it seems like that's a potential future kind of path. Is that something you guys have considered or thought about or dreamed about?
Yeah. I think, we've had so much work on our plate and just moving so quickly. And, it's been a lot of heavy lifting to get it to where it is, but I definitely think that there is room for that. And, and really, for us, like the more the community like gets on and creates accounts and starts engaging with each other and, the more potential we have to continue building software that works for our community. And, that's kind of how we think of ourselves. Like we've got some business expertise, we've got some software expertise, we definitely know the sports that we love pretty well. And, with all that, how do we create something useful for like literally the people we love? And, so, really, I think over the next like couple of years, like for us, it's about getting our core community involved. So, it's probably a lot of your listeners, but it's just like, if people are backing us and getting on the platform and using it and engaging with us. And, the most amazing thing is like every single person who uses this product is cool. Like our customer service is like probably one of the easiest jobs in the world because everyone who contacts us is cool. And it's like, that's why we love, what we do. Yeah. And, I think, over the next like couple of years, if we're, really picking up steam and we find that there's, demand for that, we definitely have some ideas on how we can make that work.
Have you guys had challenges so far with kind of the verification of people, like people saying who they are, who they say they are, or like scammers or anything like that? Are you dealing with that yet?
So yeah, like ironically, for the first time in 6 months, that might have popped up this morning. And so, you know, generally the way SENDY is built, it's very safe, right? It's like there's, you know, phone verification codes, like we're building ID verification for the rent stuff, like, you know, every step of the process, we generally know exactly who someone is. And so, you know, when you sell something on SENDY, that money from the buyer is held like in an escrow account with us.
Yeah.
When that person receives the item, they basically have 48 hours to submit a claim if it's different than what was pictured in the photos. And so honestly, that hasn't happened ever, not once, not one transaction. And that's part of why I just think our community is amazing. But yeah, this morning, you know, someone reached out to our customer service and said that someone was trying to get them to transfer money for the bike on PayPal. And I was like, yeah, no, do not do that. You know, SENDY is built with an internal wallet. As long as you're sticking with the platform, it should be very well protected, very well built. And then of course, you know, we as an organization, if anything goes wrong, like we're going to have your back. So yeah, I think the only thing we need to be concerned of is kind of like a lot of other platforms. If someone reaches out and says, hey, send me money through a third party platform, and you know, that's what you got to kind of keep an eye out for.
the way to control it is to hold the funds and control the funds and be
like,
the intermediary between the two parties with the funds.
Yeah, and you know, we're not the first ones to invent this. Like, it's,
right.
You know, Etsy, eBay, Reverb, like for many different categories of items, like this is all from a software perspective problem that's been solved. And so we're not reinventing the wheel. We've just put a lot of like very common safeguards in place. And I think as long as people are in the SENDY ecosystem, you know, there's very limited opportunity to actually get a successful scam off.
Yeah.
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 And I think that is like one of the reasons people use it, honestly.
Yeah.
It's probably the safest way to then sell a high dollar item like a bike.
It seems like to me, yeah. I mean, it seems way safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah, that was obviously like problem number one that needed to be solved. So I'd say, you know, more thought has gone into that than almost anything else. It's just like, how is this the safest, simplest, most secure way for us to transact across the country for high value items? Mm-hmm. So we've had a lot of thought going into that.
Now, you had mentioned to me that you met Travis, was it snowboarding or surfing?
Yeah, we actually met snowboarding up at Baldface outside of Nelson, BC.
And then how did you meet Cam?
So Cam, I was actually with Travis. So Travis and I, we actually met snowboarding, but ended up going on a lot of surf trips together. Like, I'm not sure everyone knows that, but he's a good surfer too, and he's pretty passionate about it. And he used to live on a boat in the summers. It's a pretty good lifestyle. But yeah, so we've done a lot of surfing together. We were down at the Surf Ranch, just like that wild wave in Central California, and it's kind of, I don't know.
That's not Hollister, is it?
It's not Hollister.
Those are real waves. This is
this is a
Kelly
fake
Slater
wave.
Oh, it's a surf. Oh, gotcha.
In Lemoore.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, in Lemoore. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, it's like it's wild place. So but yeah, so that was kind of, you know, Kelly Slater's you know, dream wave in a sense. You know, they tried to build the perfect wave, and they did a pretty damn good job, I'd say.
Yeah.
And you know, actually one of the financial backers for the Wave Ranch actually came in and backed SENDY. So that's, you know, we were stoked on that. But we were all hanging out at the Wave Ranch, and Cam rolled up right after Red Bull Rampage, where he probably took like, I don't know, like a 60-foot step down, like straight to the shoulder, just like toughed it out, and somehow drove from, you know, Utah over to the Surf Ranch and just showed up. And so we ended up hanging out with him all weekend, and he came with his whole family. It was cool.
Did he get barreled?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Cam
got barreled. Yes.
Yeah.
Killer.
Yeah, and so yeah, we had the whole. So this was 2 years ago or so, something like that. And you know, so I hadn't met Cam, but at this point I'd known Travis for probably 8 years. And you know, at the end of the weekend, you know, Travis was like, hey, I really think that we should bring Cam into what we're doing on SENDY. And in some ways they're like a similar gravitas to them. Like they're both like, icons of these sports. Like they've put their time in.
Absolutely.
And they're like
pushing the limits.
Yeah. And they're battle hardened, and they've like, this is this kind of thing, like any, business or community or whatever. It's like, if you're not a good guy, that eventually comes out in the wash, and
Totally.
and people know it.
Yep.
And like for these guys to have like 20 years of staying power where they're still like respected and loved, like that says a lot about their character.
Absolutely.
And so it was kind of a no-brainer. I ended up just sitting down with Cam, giving him, the lowdown on what we were trying to accomplish, and he was basically like all in. And Cam has just like stepped up to the plate and just been such a crucial part of the whole thing. I'm just so glad we got him involved.
Yeah.
Like big time.
I think that has a lot. I mean, that celebrity factor is a thing, man. Like when you can say, hey, these two guys back this thing, their name is on it, and it means something, but it also like, Sam, who is, I call him Sendy Sam. Sam is kind of your employee number one. He's standing outside the RV right now.
He just gave us shakas.
He's giving shaka, and he's on his phone. I guarantee he's texting with a customer.
He is just like this, like super charismatic guy, and he was the guy that I was first introduced to. Yeah. And he told me about you and was like, oh, Ian does all the things. He's like into all the different sports, and he has a super successful business background. So this isn't your first endeavor. What were you doing before SENDY as a business?
Yeah, so I've had a few. So my first business, like I've always had that kind of drive, and I think part of it's because, I started by literally waiting tables as like a caterer and packing trucks and stuff, and I was like, okay, how do I never do this again? It was some pretty tough work, like when I was in high school and college. And so pretty much right out of college I started a company called Balsa Tribe, and we made balsa wood surfboards down in Ecuador. So it was, I think, the first fully biodegradable surfboard that was commercially produced. So we used plant-based resins, we used like bamboo cloths, like really cool stuff, and then full like hollow bamboo cores. So I did that for 6 years. I then was CEO of a CBD company called Hemp Fusion, which over the course of the life of it, I think we raised like 60 million or so, ended up taking it public. And with that, I oversaw a lot of marketing, a lot of digital marketing. We had a really good athlete team there for a while. Learned a lot, both about how things should be done and how things should not be done. And also, like that company was built in, it kind of began to coalesce like in the 2008, 2009 kind of economic down cycle. So, things were a little rougher there. And it was just one of those things where, after years of that, it's like, okay, I have all the stuff that I love and is fun to do, and then I have work. And those two things are mutually exclusive and have nothing to do with each other.
Right.
And
except you can take some CBD after a long day on a bike and feel a little better, I guess.
Yeah, but it's still a pain in the ass to get that product in someone's hand and ship it all over the place. And so, I think with SENDY, when we started working on it, it was a passion project. It's something that it was combining like some of my business knowledge and past and marketing knowledge and everything that we all had, all the tools that we've accumulated over the last 20 years in our professional careers, and really just combining it into like the ultimate passion project. And this is certainly the most fun and most excited of anything I've ever done. For sure.
We're super excited for you guys, and we're also just super excited to have you guys as our first supporter.
Oh, we're psyched. Yeah.
We just started this thing, like we were talking about. Pabot and I bought a kit off Amazon or whatever. I mean, we both have a big background. Like he was in photography and media for a long time, and I've been a writer for 20 years. So like we have a background in media and marketing, But like the podcast thing, we're just like, hey, we need to do this.
It was a passion project for us.
It is. It's not was. It is for sure.
Yeah.
It's
well, the idea of it came from true passion.
Totally. From doing this stuff all our lives.
The things that we love.
You know, it's just like I cover the dirt side, he covers the snow side, and it's like profiling core lords, like you were talking about those guys up in Alaska, like that. The core lords of the sport is really what we want to profile, and there's so many parallels between a SENDY user and someone I think who would listen to this podcast. And that's why right out of the gate, we were like, God, this is like a perfect match.
Yeah.
You know, we're doing this as a passion project. We don't want to take like, you know, endorsement or sponsorship from anyone or any brand. Like we want to do this for the right reasons, and we want to have the right supporters we're all on the same page. And looking at what you guys are doing and being at this event and getting to know you and Sam better, it's just like, it's such a great match. And we're really thankful that you guys are supporting us. And I think,
oh yeah, man, it's a no-brainer. I mean, like, you guys are what we're all about. Like you guys are the real deal roots. You do this stuff because you love it. Like we get it.
Yeah.
Awesome. We're cut from the same cloth for sure. And yeah. And like, you know, back to Sam, just as far as like, yeah, like literally if you call SENDY customer service or need support with something, there's a 90% chance you're going to talk to Sam.
Yeah.
And it's the thing, like every single person involved in this company is like the real deal. Like we love this stuff. Like, you know, Sam I met, you know, surfing Northern Coast, California, probably 15 years ago. He's an incredible surfer. And he had, you know, he had a couple of injuries that, you know, head injuries that nearly made him blind. He had to give up surfing. And then he just shifted into rock climbing. And now he's like a 5'13" plus like super gnarly sport climber. Just like, you know, I mean, like we're all,
and a really
like,
good musician too, right? He plays bass.
Musician,
yeah.
He plays guitar, bass, like all this stuff. So multiple bands, but yeah, it's just we just want to do stuff we love with people we love, and you know, we're trying to figure out how to do it best. And yeah.
Is Sam your ride to the airport?
Yep.
Is that why he's pacing outside the RV right
now? That's probably right. Probably keep me on track.
So Ian has to.
Ian's got a heart out here.
Yeah, So we're gonna let Ian go, but Ian, before we let you go, we always ask our guests one question, and mind the track. What does mind the track mean to you when you hear that word?
Boy, that's a good one. I think. Yeah, to me, the first thing that popped into my head with that is like when I'm on a snowmobile, and there are skin tracks. I do my best to not ride in those skin tracks.
Oh, thank you.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Palbot will appreciate that.
So, yeah, that's the first thing that pops into my head.
Rad. Well, Ian, we'll get you onto your airport ride.
And real quick too, where can people find you if they want to reach out or anything?
I mean, on Instagram, I'm Manawolf, MANAWOLF.
Cool.
And then, you know, through SENDY, Ian at SENDY.io. Every single person that downloads the app and creates a profile gets an email from me. So I'm easy to reach, and that's the whole point. I'm trying to be available. So yeah, and you guys, before I go, I just want to thank you too. Like, it's so awesome to meet you, and just sit in this rig with this view at this event. It's like, it's the culmination of everything that we're about. So just wanted to thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ian. We were
safe
really
travels
appreciate
to you,
it,
man.
Yeah, safe travels.
All right, you guys. We'll talk soon.
Right on.
Ciao. Sweet.
That was awesome, dude.
Dude, piece of cake.
Yeah, killer. Thank you.
Awesome.
It's odd to see Sam out there just like bouncing.
I'm sure we already missed it. That's all right.
No, what time is your flight?
It's at 3:50.
3:50? Oh, you're good.